In this video, I'm going to share with you how to build a $1 million per month roofing business. And just a disclaimer, if you follow this, you are not guaranteed to hit $1 million a month. But I help countless roofers across the United States at multiple six figures or even multiple seven figures in certain cases. And I'm just going to share with you the advice and the things that we implemented with that business and worked with that business. So hopefully if you take that advice and you apply it into your business, you can hit $1 million or multiple six figures in a singular month. So I'm going to share with you three main fundamental things that work like a charm in these businesses and also in our own business. And we're almost doing about 7 figures per month as well. All right, let's dive in. Okay. So your roadmap to 7 figures. Okay. So the three things that we're going to go over is the $1 million math. So what the numbers actually look like and why most contractors fail before they even start. Secondly, cold traffic conversion system, how to turn complete strangers into 15, 20K customers at scale using these proven advertising systems. And then 3, why playing it safe keeps you small and how to take calculated risks that generate massive returns. Okay, so let's get into the $1 million math here, what it looks like to get to a $1 million month. So 67 jobs at 15,000 average ticket actually puts you a bit over $1 million in a month. So you just need 67 jobs in a month. That's not that hard. We've done it. I just posted a video about one of our clients that got 85 jobs in a month, or actually it was a little less. It was about like 3-ish weeks. You need to generate around 1,000 leads from paid advertising, around 350 to like 600 appointments set and confirmed, 350 on the very low end. Okay. Like you're very unlikely to do 67 jobs off 350 appointments. Only if you're dialed. That client we posted about actually did 85 off of 350, which was like insane, but 67, off of 350 is incredible. Like that's incredibly good. And if you're closing like 30% on cold traffic leads, that'll put you at 67 per jobs per month. Okay. So how much does this look like, when put to practice? Now, like an important thing with this $1 million math and, what I was saying about like why most roofers fail, it's because of, I would say 2 reasons. One, and they kind of go together. So one is they hyper analyze certain numbers like close rate, lead cost, appointment cost, even show rate, things like that. These numbers, yes, they're important, but ultimately you need to know what your CAC should be. Okay. And don't make this up out of thin air. Like, yeah, this would be great if my profit was like 70% or whatever, right? No, you need to be like, okay, at the bare minimum, my profit needs to be 15%. If I'm putting in all this work and I'm doing under 15%, it starts to not make sense, right? Like whatever, however you want to do that math, you could set a little higher, a little lower even, but I would say around 15-ish% is a good place to be. So if my profit's 15%, what does my CAC need to look like? So you calculate your cost of goods, you calculate all your expenses, and then you calculate your acquisition costs, right? So how much you're going to pay that sales rep, and then also how much you're going to spend, to acquire that customer to be at 15%. So it's now that you've done the math, you're like, okay, I could spend $2,000 to get a customer and still be at 15%. Now that you've determined that you're very low, what your floor is essentially is $2,000. Anytime, you look at your numbers at a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, I would recommend looking at them over 14 days at the bare minimum. Every time your numbers are 2K and below, up the budget. That's how you skip. That's how you're going to scale and then clean things up as you go. If you notice, my CAC's like 2K and 1.9, it's getting close to that point where it's going to get uncomfortable. It's going to be like, okay, should we put our foot on the brakes here a little bit? And if you get to that point, you need to proactively problem solve. So look at your close rate, look at your appointment costs, look at your lead costs and be like, okay, how can I lower this? Could I make more ads? Could I make better ads? Could we do more training? Could we hire better closers? Is there more systems that we could put in place to increase our show rate, right? And we have videos on all that stuff, as well. But you need to look at those things as well when your CAC gets close to that floor there. And this is like the most important thing that you could possibly learn when scaling is like, what's my floor? Determine it. Don't pull the number out of thin air. We see this time and time again where they kind of just pull numbers out of thin air. Like I need to be at a 1K CAC. Why? Because you want to be at 60% margin. Yeah, I want to be Superman. Yeah, like I want to have 90% margin. But is that realistic? Is it going to heavily constrain me if I want to scale? Yes. Okay. So you need to determine what your floor is and scale regardless of what that number is, if it's below that floor. Okay. So who cares? I don't care if you're closing at 5%. Yes, you should work on that. That's horrible. 100%. But you're below 2K. Scale that shit. There's nothing else to think about. All right. So that's one of the most important things as well to realize. The cold traffic advantage. Okay. So when I say cold traffic, I don't mean like cold calling, door knocking. Yes, that's cold traffic. I'm talking like social media, like online cold traffic. Okay. And the reason why it's so important that you have a cold traffic system in place for generating leads, and like this could be even be getting leads from like a shared leads website or, you know, a marketing agency, doing it in-house, whatever it is. Anything that's like social media ads where scale is super unlimited and quick, right? When you're scaling door knocking and you look at the numbers, like I said, oh, you know, I'm very profitable, which you likely are with door knocking. I'm very profitable. Okay, let's look at the numbers. Numbers are great. Okay, let's scale this shit up. We need to crank, right? And you look at that, and then you're like, I have to double my team to scale. And then like when you double your team, like half of them suck, and then you have to replace them. Like, that's not so fun. Yes, people do it. Yes, it works sometimes. But it is very, very like unideal. Like it's not an ideal scenario to be in at all when you're like, I want to scale. Okay, let's double the number of people I have. I'm already at 20. Let's go to 50. Let's go to 40. Let's go to 100, right? That's not ideal at all because now you have to find 100 people in your area, train them up, manage them, etc. Have systems in place, get managers, all of the above. It's a headache, right? But when you have a cold traffic system, whether it's, again, buying leads online, you have a marketing agency, you're doing it in-house, whatever it is, right? You could be working with us, right? Whatever it is, you're like, I want to scale. Let's double the amount of leads. And then you could buy a package that's double the leads. You could crank your budget up by 2x. Yeah, you're going to need to make some more ads, but I would much rather make 5 more ads of what already, you know, just take the ad that is working and make 5 more variations of it than go out and hire 20 guys, right? I would much rather do that and only have to replace these ads every month. It is a system that requires so low maintenance at such high scales. It is incredible. You won't have to make the amount of ads that we make per week, which is like 50, 100 ads a week, right? More sometimes. You won't have to make those amount of ads unless you're spending like hundreds of, not hundreds of thousands, like millions of dollars per month, which then's like, dude, like you're like almost a 9-figure operation probably, right? Like, come on, like, obviously, you know, it's fine to build a little marketing team at that scale. You know what I mean? It's very, very low maintenance. And even then, we have a very lean marketing team. Yeah. And again, even at that scale, right? Like, you're going to have like 1 or 2 people on your team that you're going to have making creatives for you, right? It's not hard. Have some AI bots do it. You know, it's not hard, right? Very lean operation in comparison. So you're looking at like a few employees versus like hundreds at scale. Like you're doing 9 figures, you need hundreds of door knockers. Hundreds. Okay. So this gives you such an edge and such an advantage. And I think it's often overlooked. And I know you have marketing, like little marketing agencies tell you all the time, oh, you know, ads are great. Ads are great. And they're not lying, but you know, I know they end up not working in those instances, right? But that doesn't mean ads don't work. There's plenty of people spending hundreds of thousands of dollars per day, per week in roofing on ads. Okay. It's incredible, right? So never have that limiting belief that ads don't work because they do, because they work for other people. Just make them work for yourself. It's like this analogy, which I'm sure a lot of you guys agree with, just being in business, where you get that statistic where it's like 90% of businesses fail or whatever it is, 95%, whatever the statistic is, right? And then there's like the 5% of the 1% that succeed. Okay. And you as a business owner, you're looking at it like, okay, I'm going to copy the 1% or 5%. I'm going to emulate them. I'm going to act like them, move like them, believe the things that they believe, etc. Like I'm going to emulate that 1% so I could be in the 1%. And you had that mindset when you started your business. Why don't you have that mindset about ads? Why don't you have that mindset about everything? Why do you have these limiting beliefs? You shouldn't, right? Because it holds you back. It's putting you at a disadvantage, right? Because this thing, you know, if it works, which it does, it's going to be much better. So why not make it work? Okay, the conversion infrastructure. So this is some of the infrastructure you need in place with ads. Okay, so there's a few other employees other than like creative, you know, makers or whatever. You need to just add them mainly to like your sales system and your sales team, right? Speed to lead. Under 60 seconds response time or you lose the deal. Every minute of delay cuts your conversion rate dramatically. Okay, so what happens is like they're going to forget they filled out the ad. They're going to see somebody else's ad. You're competing with everybody. You're competing with everybody. If they're in market for the roof, regardless of if you get them through door knocking, you get them through cold calling, you get them through ads, you get them through SEO, whatever you get them through, you're in competition with every roofer in that area, regardless, because if you don't get to that lead fast enough and propose your solution, your prices, everything, somebody else will, right? Because they're still in need of a roof. If you're not going to be the one to solve it, somebody else will, right? So here's what this looks like. They're scrolling on their feed. They click learn more. They fill out an ad. They wait. Maybe they don't book on your booking page. They don't see it, whatever, or they book, but they're waiting. They're waiting. They don't get a call. They don't get a text, whatever. Now it's like, okay, I'm still scrolling on my feed, getting hit with some more roofing ads. I'm going to just click those, right? But what it looks like if you're fast and you're actually skillful, and this is what a lot of people get wrong with this stuff, with cold traffic stuff, is just because they suck at everything else, right? It's not even the lead that's generated. It's just you suck, and then you blame it on the lead, okay? So you dial, right? In 60 seconds, they're not clicking on anybody's ad. You'll literally catch them, even if like worst case scenario, they found somebody else already. They're probably not even done filling out the form. It takes like 60 seconds to fill out another form, right? So you're going to hit them before that, and they're going to answer the phone, and then you book the appointment, and you know what you do? You book the appointment next day, same day, as soon as humanly possible, so they don't book again with somebody else, right? Because that's stuff that you could prevent by being quick and not being lazy and having these systems and infrastructure in place. And then that brings me to my next point. You need to have a call team set up, or like a sales team, whatever you want to call it, like sales team, call team. You need that stuff in place so you can actually dial them in 60 seconds. Let's say you have closers, right? And they're all at an appointment because you're doing a good job filling their calendars. If a lead comes in, they're not going to call it because they're in an appointment, right? So you need people dedicated to doing so. Another example is even you have one caller, they're on the phone, another lead comes in. They're not going to get called in 60 seconds. So that means you need two people on the phone, right? And that just makes your odds of getting to that lead much quicker. Okay. Speed to lead's huge. Having a call team in place is huge. And then next is cold traffic closing systems. Okay. So a lot of you guys, you might have these first two things in place, but you just suck. You just aren't good at sales. You close these referral leads at 80%. Maybe you close door knocking at a decent percent, but those are people that have seen your face. They know about you. They're probably talking to neighbors about you. Right? Like they're familiarized with your company. When somebody sees your ad, usually that's all they see. So what do you have to do? Have the same exact effect and hit them with videos, hit them with testimonials, hit them with reviews, hit them with email and text sequences that answer their questions before their appointment. Have sales guys that are actually good at sales that actually don't get hit with objections, because if they're complaining about objections, that's just a symptom of a bad sales process or just a bad salesman, because those objections should be already answered. When you go for the close, they shouldn't have many questions or any questions really, okay? Because you need to answer that in your sales process or your back-end selling process, which is everything from the appointment to the appointment, okay? So it's appointment set to the appointment, I mean. Building your sales machine. Cold versus warm leads. Referrals close at 80%. Cold traffic closes at 30 to 40%. Your team needs different skills and systems for each. Yeah, I've had clients close at 70, 80%, even 100% for certain spurts, obviously not consistently over a long period of time. But I've seen that happen with cold traffic. It is possible if you're really good at sales. But don't expect 80% close rates. That's just not how this shit works. You pay the price of spending a little bit of money on leads, a little bit worse close rates. You pay that price for scalability. Do you want to just work off referrals and be under 7 figures, or just little, maybe you're doing 2 mil a year or whatever? Do you want to be there your whole life? If you do, fine. That's fine. This video isn't for you. Click off it. This is not going to help you. You could work with your referral leads, but you need cold traffic for almost unlimited scalability. Even if you get to a point where you're spending so much in your market, go to a new market, right? That's going to be bottlenecked regardless, okay? So, unlimited scale. There's probably, I could be wrong, but I doubt there's a single roofer in all 50 states spending the maximum amount they can on ads in all 50 states. There's so much room for scale. There's so much, there's a piece of the pie, okay? And you need to just be good. Proven frameworks that work across hundreds of appointments, not just with people Sales says approved frameworks across 100 appointments, not with just people who you already know. Okay, if you never close cold traffic, you could try it with your sales team if you have one. And I would try it with yourself or like a sales manager or something. You need to get somebody to close cold traffic so you could teach others to close cold traffic, right? Like, it's as simple as that. You could close cold traffic if you were good. You're not good, so you're not closing cold traffic. How it is, it's the hard truth, but it's simple, okay? And the simple thing is you just need to put in the work and you'll actually achieve these things, okay? That's just the hard truth, but it's simple. It's hard, but it's simple, okay? It's not this complex thing. And you don't need to have some crazy ad set up just for cold traffic to work. It's not that complex. It's very simple stuff, okay? And all you just need to do is put in the work. And that's what a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's the truth. Okay. And then team training, building salespeople is, like I said, that can handle objections from complete strangers and close consistently at volume. Okay. So number one, like, you need to have processes in place to make you seem like you're not a complete stranger and to emulate that referral strategy. But simultaneously, you need closers that are good. Okay. Because as much as you want to emulate referrals, you could get there in, some occurrences, but it's not the same. It will never be the same. That's just the truth. If I hear from a friend, this is the best thing ever, you need to do it, versus I hear kind of from the company, from other people, that it's the best thing, you need to do it. Yes, it's going to help pretty heavily, but it's not the same as hearing it from my trustworthy friend. Okay. So you need to have good salespeople at the end of the day. There's no way around that. Okay. The high stakes mindset required. This is kind of goes back with the first one, and this holds so many people back. Okay. You need to invest $50K a month to generate 1 mil a month in revenue. Very minimal, at the very minimum. I wouldn't even expect that. I would expect maybe 500K. Like, don't expect $1 million a month out of 50. Okay. Roofing's a thing where it's like, when you look at return on ad spend from like a revenue to spend perspective, it's going to be pretty high. Like, it's going to be 6x to like 15x. Like, it's going to be high, but you have a lot of cost of goods, right? Because you have the materials, the labor, etc. So you need to have pretty high like ROAS if you're just looking at spend to revenue, not spend to gross profit. Okay. So, you need to be willing to spend a lot to make a lot. Okay. It's just how this works, is how business works, is how everything works. Okay. You might have hit a good month by doing some other shit. I've done that before. I've hit a good month and I barely knew what I was doing. Like that's happened to me before, but it's not consistent. Now, very consistent because I know what I'm doing, right? Know your numbers. Lead cost doesn't matter. Close rate doesn't matter. Show rate doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in comparison to CAC. If your CAC's good, scale. If it's not, don't. And fix close rate, lead costs, etc. Those lead costs numbers, it's all grouped together by CAC, right? So if your CAC's big, one of those numbers are probably too low or too high, right? If your CAC's small, you probably have very good numbers in multiple of those numbers, or some of them are just extremely good numbers, right? So those numbers, they make up what CAC is. CAC's what ultimately matters. And if CAC looks big or it looks small, but most importantly big, then you want to look at your other numbers, right? You want to look at your other numbers to decrease CAC, right? But ultimately you're looking at it from back to front. You're not looking at like lead cost, booking cost, blah, 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 CAC. You're looking at CAC and then you're looking at them backwards, right? So that's how you want to look at things. And lifetime value. So more importantly, lifetime gross profit, right? Because that's incredibly important to track your margin. If you calculated your whole CAC thing, 2K CAC, 15K LTV, whatever, like maybe 6K lifetime gross profit, right? On, your jobs. If you calculate those numbers and all of a sudden your lifetime gross profit is 4K, or your lifetime, your lifetime value is like 12K or 10K, and it goes down from that 15. Then you need to be like, okay, what's going on? We need to fix this, right? Because now my CAC floor changes because of that number changes. And you've probably heard Hormozy talk about it, but it's CAC to lifetime gross profit ratio is one of the most important numbers in your business because it will determine your profitability essentially, right? You need to be willing to lose 100K to make, I would say, $1 million even. You need to be willing to lose 100K to make $1 million, $1 million to make 10 million, and 10 million to make 100 million, 1,000 to make 100,000, whatever, right? Like, you need to look at things that way. Like, I'm losing this money to learn, and once I have it down, I'm going to make a lot of money. So don't be scared of losing money, okay? Money It's not even real at this point, okay? It's just numbers on a screen. Who cares? Don't be scared. You live in the United States. If you go bankrupt, you're still going to eat. You're fine. You could build back up. Now, I'm not saying be a dumbass and take unreasonable risks to where you end up bankrupt. That probably won't happen. But worst case scenario, your fear that's holding you back, what's the worst thing that happens? Back then, back when we were hunters and gatherers, our fear was only fear of death, fear of danger, right? Of dying, right? Now we have this fear of discomfort, having a credit card bill, having some debt, maybe even just losing money, seeing the number in the bank go down. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but you're not going to die. You live in the US, okay? You're fine, all right? And you need to operate with that level of mentality that you are going to make it work. You're going to figure it out. It doesn't matter how much money you lose. There's a clip of Donald Trump, whether you like him or not. There's a clip of him talking about how he's 900 million in debt, and he seemed perfectly calm, perfectly fine. That is something that makes a great businessman. So you need to detach from the money and not be scared to lose money. You might have a family. That's fine. You could be in debt and still feed your family. Like, I don't have a family, so I can't relate. I know it's a different level of stress because you're providing for other people, but you could still put the food on the table, right? Like, look at Trump. He's 900 million in debt. Like, you could go into debt and figure it out, okay? Like, stop being scared. And even if you guys do lose your home, you go bankrupt, worst case scenario, I'm rambling on about fear, but it's holding a lot of people back. Even if you do lose your home, yes, it sucks. Maybe you have to live out of a car for a couple months. Eat. Government pays for it. Just eat some food. Go to a shelter. Get some food. Like, you're not going to die. That's my point. You're not going to die. It's uncomfortable. It sucks, but you're not going to die. Okay? So make it work. All right? And that's my biggest piece of advice here. Now, we don't need to go over that. We kind of already talked about that. Now, if you want to work with us, we've worked with countless roofers. We work with roofers over 7 or multiple 7 figures per year. So if you're in that spot and you kind of want more scalability to your marketing system, or you might have some issues with your existing marketing system, or, you don't want to manage your marketing system. It's a lot of work. I get it. What we do here is we book appointments. So you would purchase a package of appointments with us, and that's it. You don't pay for ad spend. You don't worry about calling leads, nothing. And we just send you appointments for the price that you purchased it for. And then, we could scale it up pretty much infinitely until then. We send thousands of appointments per month for our clients. We work with guys doing multiple 9 figures, multiple 8 figures, etc. So these systems work. They're proven. Check out any of our videos, any of our testimonies on our website. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, if you want a couple hundred appointments per month, maybe 1,000 appointments per month, click the top link in the description. You're going to book a call. You'll talk to somebody on my team. We'll see if we're a good fit for each other. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if we're not a good fit, we don't want to waste your time and your money. And we don't want to waste our time and our money. And we will just tell you straight up that we're not going to be a good fit and we'll go our separate ways. So click that top link, book a call, talk to us, and we'll see if you're a good fit. If that's not for you, if you want to do this yourself, which I get, like I'm the type of guy that wants to do some of this stuff myself. I'm a marketing minded person, then just watch some of the content on our channel. You could get plenty of information there. And yeah, subscribe, stay tuned for future videos. And that's pretty much it. Peace out.